What if the life you're trying so hard to control was never yours to control in the first place? What if the choices you're proud of, the mistakes you regret, even the person you believe you are not as free as they feel? It's unsettling, almost offensive to the way we've been taught to see ourselves, because we are told again and again that we are the authors of our lives, that everything depends on us, that if we just try harder, think smarter, choose better, we can shape reality exactly the way we want. But if you've ever felt like you keep ending up in the same place no matter how much you try to change, if you've ever noticed that the same emotional patterns follow you across different jobs, different relationships, even different cities, then something deeper's happening. Maybe you've noticed that sometimes life unfolds in a way that feels almost scripted, that certain meetings, certain losses, certain turning points feel strangely inevitable. And you probably tell yourself that you're making choices along the way, that you're steering the ship. But what if you're not steering as much as you think? By the end of this journey, you will begin to see life differently, not as a problem to control, but as something to witness. You will understand why your relationship with yourself, with others, and with the world around you are not separate stories, but expressions of the same underlying flow. And you will begin to see why what we call free will may feel real, but might not be what we think it is. And strangely, instead of feeling trapped by that realization, you may feel something else entirely, something lighter, something quieter, something like peace. We are taught to divide life into parts. There is me, there is other people, and there is the world. We speak about relationships as if they are bridges between separate islands. My relationship with myself, my relationship with my partner, my relationship with nature, or God, or something greater. But what if these are not separate at all? What if they are different faces of the same movement? Think about a moment when you were deeply at ease, not excited, not distracted, just quietly present. Maybe you were sitting by the ocean, or walking through a park, or watching your child sleep. In that moment, were you separate from the experience, or part of it? Did it feel like you were observing the world, or like the boundary between you and the world had softened? These moments are not accidents. They are glimpses of something fundamental. They show us that the sense of separation we carry most of the time is not the only way to experience life. But most of our lives are not lived in that softness. They are lived in tension, in effort, in the constant negotiation of control. We try to become a better version of ourselves. We try to fix our relationships. We try to manage our careers, our finances, our image, our future. And underneath all of it is a quiet assumption that we are the ones making it happen. And yet, look closely. Did you choose your personality? Did you choose the way you react when someone criticizes you? Did you choose the fears that wake you up at night? Did you choose the environment you were born into, the parents who shaped your early experiences, the culture that taught you what success looks like? We say, "This is who I am." But where did that I come from? Imagine a man named Raj. He prides himself on being disciplined. He wakes up early, works hard, pushes through discomfort. He believes this is his choice, his strength. But Raj grew up in a household where love was conditional, where achievement was the currency of worth. His discipline is not just a choice, it is a response, a pattern shaped long before he was aware of it. Now imagine another man, Daniel, who struggles with consistency. He starts things but doesn't finish them. He feels ashamed of it. He tells himself he lacks willpower. But Daniel grew up in an environment where stability was unpredictable, where effort didn't always lead to reward. His inconsistency is not just a failure of choice. It is a learned adaptation. Two different lives, two different choices, but both shaped by forces neither of them consciously selected. So, where is free will in all of this? This is where the discomfort begins. Because if our thoughts, our reactions, our desires are shaped by past experiences, biology, environment, then what exactly is choosing? And yet we feel like we are choosing. That feeling is real, but is it accurate? Think about the last time you made a decision. Maybe something small, what to eat, what to say, whether to respond to a message. It feels like you weighed options and chose one. But those options, where did they come from? Why did certain thoughts appear and not others? Why did one feel more appealing? You didn't choose your thoughts. They appeared. And then another thought appeared that said, I choose this. So the question becomes, who is the I that is choosing? This is not a question meant to confuse you. It's a question meant to free you. Because when we look deeply, we begin to see that life is not a series of independent choices made by a separate self. It is a continuous unfolding, a flow, a movement like a river. The river doesn't decide where to go. It follows the landscape. It responds to gravity, to obstacles, to the shape of the land. And yet, from within the river, it feels like movement, like direction, like life. We are like that. Our thoughts flow. Our emotions rise and fall. Our actions emerge from this movement. And we call it me. But what if me is just the name we give to the flow? This doesn't mean life is meaningless. It doesn't mean nothing matters. In fact, it can make everything feel more meaningful. Because instead of carrying the burden of control, you begin to experience participation. You are not outside of life, trying to manage it. You are life, unfolding. And this changes how you relate to everything. Take relationships. We often think of relationships as something we have to fix, improve, control. We analyze what the other person is doing wrong, what we need to do better. But if both you and the other person are expressions of the same unfolding process, then the relationship is not something separate. It is a meeting point of two flows. When your partner withdraws, you react. When you react, they respond. It becomes a dance, not always a conscious one, but a dance nonetheless. And instead of asking, who is right, you begin to ask, what is happening here? This question softens things. It removes the need to win. It creates space for understanding. The same applies to your relationship with yourself. Most people are in conflict with themselves. There is a part that wants to succeed and a part that resists, a part that wants connection and a part that fears it. We call this inconsistency, weakness, lack of discipline. But what if these parts are not enemies? What if they are expressions of different conditions, different experiences, different needs, all moving within the same system? Instead of forcing one part to dominate, you begin to observe, to listen, to understand, and something shifts, not because you controlled it, but because you saw it clearly. And clarity changes things. Even your relationship with nature, or what some people call the divine, begins to feel different. It is no longer something out there that you have to reach. It is something you are already part of. The same energy that moves the wind, that grows a tree, that beats your heart, is moving through you. Not separately, not symbolically, literally. You are not disconnected from life. You are an expression of it. And when you see this, truly see it, a certain tension begins to dissolve. The constant effort to control, to perfect, to guarantee outcomes starts to loosen. Not because you give up, but because you understand. You still act, you still make decisions, you still move through life, but there is less struggle behind it, less fear, less need to prove something. There is a quiet trust, not in a specific outcome, but in the unfolding itself. Now, this doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you become passive. In fact, many people find that they become more engaged, more present, more responsive, because they are no longer distracted by the illusion of total control. They are here, with what is happening, responding to it, living it. And sometimes there is a moment, a simple moment. You're sitting somewhere, maybe alone, maybe with someone you love. And for a brief second, everything feels okay. Not perfect, not solved, but complete. Nothing is missing. That moment is not something you created. It happened, and you experienced it. That's the shift. From controlling life to witnessing it. From forcing outcomes to participating in the flow. From being a separate self to recognizing the connection. And if you've understood even a small part of this, there is something natural that arises. Gratitude. Not forced, not practiced, just there. Because you see how much of this was never in your control. And yet here you are, alive, aware, experiencing. And even this realization came when it came. Not because you forced it, but because something aligned. And maybe that too was part of the flow. So as you go back into your life, you don't need to change everything. Just notice. Notice your thoughts as they arise. Notice your reactions. Notice the patterns, not to judge them, but to see them. And in that seeing, something begins to shift. Not because you made it happen, but because that's what happens when awareness enters the room. You don't have to control the river. You just have to realize you are already in it. Thank you for watching. Please comment, share, and subscribe for more.